we don't necessarily need to test those, the Flash. I know they spent $200 million on it, but like with the Ezra Miller news that just keeps a coming, Warner Brothers Discovery is in a very tricky place. And I know the Hollywood Reporter like put out an article where they said that there are three scenarios that they can move forward with. You know, if they want to continue with the movie, would be that like Ezra has to go home to their family farm and get professional help. And then later they could explain their behavior, and I'm assuming an exclusive interview, and then do limited press. And so the Flash would come out on June 23rd, 2023. I don't know if that's a situation that is going to be happening for Ezra, but they did say that their mom has been around them. So that's good.
Yeah, I feel like any other week, we could talk about how Warner Brothers has no other choice but to scrap this movie. But I think what we've learned is they're not going to do it. But that hasn't stopped the Ezra Miller situation continue to spiral into the headlines. So I want to say their hands are tied, but they're not portraying themselves as though their hands are tied. So I do think maybe if Ezra gets the help they need, it could turn things around, at least for the promotion team. But I still don't think this is something you can just brush under the rug at this point. There's no right way of saying that. This is not the way Warner Brothers wanted it to go, and the movie should not be carrying on with a situation like this, carrying on in the background. And I say that as someone who is really looking forward to the movie. It's a very conflicting situation, and I don't want to conflict or contradict myself by saying anything here, but I definitely was so super looking forward to the movie, and now you can't think about it without those thoughts in the back of your head. Especially, and we will get into it, especially after the week Warner Brothers Discovery has had. It just doesn't feel right to spearhead this film's campaign. It just doesn't feel right to go ahead with this movie, considering everything that is happening with Ezra in the background.
Yeah, whether they Ezra does get the help that they need and they go with the first scenario, which is they release the movie, or whether they decide to have limited press for the movie, either way, this is all still going to be at the forefront of this movie and the promotion of it. Like, you can't divorce what everyone's been saying on Twitter from this film's release. It's just like there's not really a great scenario for it.
No, and like part of me is like, pull it and just like take the loss. People will go see the movie. Obviously they will. But at this point, I feel like it's also an image concern for Warner Brothers Discovery. Like, it sets a precedence for what they'll be okay with when it comes to their stars, depending on, I guess, the budget of the movie. I mean, I know the second option is that like Ezra doesn't get help. And so they just like go forward with what they need to go forward with, and Ezra won't be a part of any of the like major marketing or publicity. But the point still stands, whether Ezra is part of promoting the movie, whether they're not part of promoting the movie, the press are going to want to ask questions about it. And even if you say like you bar that question, it's going to come up in every article. Every single article that comes out about the press that they're doing, I'm sure it'll come up in all the reviews. Like, it's a tainted film at this point.
I know, and I hate to say it, I feel like that number 2 scenario is the most likely one that'll happen. And I don't necessarily mean whether Ezra gets help or not. I just feel like regardless of whether that happens, Warner Brothers will push ahead with the movie, but just leave Ezra out of the marketing, and they'll go all in on Michael Keaton's Batman, Ben Affleck's cameo appearance as Batman, Sasha Calle's Supergirl, just to try to draw attention away from it. Of course, you can't have the Flash on the movie, or the Flash movie posters without the Flash on it. That'll be something, but they'll just not put the names on it. I hate to say it, but I don't see, and I know we'll get to it with the third situation, but I just don't see them scrapping this movie, considering how closely they've been standing by it particularly over the last week.
Yeah, because with the third scenario of just pulling it, which would be unprecedented. That's $200 million is nothing to sniff at. This is still a company that got rid of a $90 million movie, but like adding more money to that, like another loss. This one they wouldn't be able to write off on taxes, presumably. And one they apparently believe in, which that based on what we saw of the trailer, it looks like it's going to be a fantastic film. I have no doubt that it's going to be one of the best films that DC has put out. I don't think it's going to be a train wreck. It looked very exciting. Anything having to do with Flashpoint when it comes to Barry Allen's story is always exciting. It's just, I wish there was not but attached to like every time we talk about the Flash. Oh, the Flash is going to be amazing, but the Ezra situation. Oh, the Flash is going to be amazing, but how do we move forward with Barry Allen's story in the DCEU? Will we be moving forward with Barry Allen's story in the DCEU? Clearly not with Ezra attached. I just don't see, even if Ezra does get help, I don't see how they continue to play that character. I feel like that should not be in the equation. But I'm not the one making like the decisions, so.
Mm-hmm. It's an unfortunate situation for a movie they were relying so heavily on, because not to get into the issues with the DCU, we have plenty of time for that later, but not to get into the issues with it right now. The DCEU was flawed to begin with, and the Flash is an easy character to reboot all that. You have him go back in time, you have him alter the timeline, but how do you alter the Flash? That's the situation they're going to have to ask going forward. And if all the characters for it to happen with, this is possibly the most difficult one, because they've put all their eggs in that Flash basket, and now they're going to have to ask some serious questions either before or definitely after this movie comes out about where does that leave the character to go forward. And I agree, it can't be with Ezra in the role.
It's such a complicated situation. I just hope for the fans that they get something, because it seems like the fans are the ones that keep losing out on this whole situation. And I don't know, it's a really tough, complex situation that I don't think we ever expected to be in with this big of a movie.